Baseball is dead.
Rest in peace.
We got a great interview for you today with Mr. Bob Kendrick, the president of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. And he's been on the podcast several times now, and I just never get tired of just listening to him talk. Like, it's just so soothing. I feel like that's like the reaction that most people come away with is like, I feel like if you listen to him talk, you don't want to listen to like the rest of the podcast. You're just like, no, I'm good. I'm fulfilled for today.
I said I didn't want to do the rest of the podcast.
Yeah. Well, Jay made a great point. I was like, yes, that you just saw inside of my brain as I was talking 2 minutes ago, because I was telling him a story about how I was first introduced to Martin Diego in Cuba. And I was like, I just want to fucking hurry up and shut up so I can hear him respond. So I can just hear him talk. And Jay was like, I don't even want to ask the question. I just want you to keep talking.
Yeah.
Like, you just, but seriously, boys, like, don't you just come away with an even deeper appreciation for our game and for the plight of individuals who have impacted our game on such a different, every time you talk to him, man, you learn something. I feel like I'm a better person because of it. Like, I just, fuck, man.
I feel like I just came out of confessional. Like, I feel blessed.
Cleansed.
Right.
Yeah. It's chicken soup for the baseball soul.
Yeah. Like, if he could do the tours with his hand, like, just on my forehead, like, the whole time, that'd be great. Just fucking drive that into me, please.
Yeah. I came out of that feeling like a better person. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
Well, it's a nice combination of stories you've heard before told differently and with an energy that you've probably never heard before, or just completely new stories that are shedding light on things that only he can tell, or you could see at the museum if you went there in person.
Sure. Yeah. The only thing that makes me feel better than that is when my picks on the Underdog Fantasy app hit, which is like kind of like, I don't know, whenever I put them out.
Yeah, like today, for example.
Yeah, like I'll put another one out today, but obviously they hit last night. Super easy. And I didn't even have to dial up Nick Kurtz for it. Didn't even have to ask him to save us. Quick and painless.
I mean, yesterday was, if I'm recalling correctly, I feel like yesterday was a pretty reasonable spread of people, right? It was Jazz, Quan, and Story.
Mm-hmm. TS10 was 3 for 3 to start the game.
Almost did it himself.
Yeah.
If it worked that way.
Yeah. But the Underdog Fantasy app is obviously the easiest place to play fantasy sports. Playing their pick'em game is as simple as just asking me for my picks on Twitter, and then I give them to you, and then you win. It's really that simple. You can, if you wish, can take my picks and you can make entries of other sports as well. You can mix and match. You can win up to 100 times your money. That's up to you, though. Make sure you sign with the promo code Jared. That is JARED to get up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a special pick on Underdog. That's Underdog Fantasy promo code Jared. Yeah, I had some gentlemen come by the house to take apart some gym equipment. I got rid of one machine, added 3 new machines. And the guys that were moving the stuff were like, so I heard you got picks. And I was like, yeah, step into my office. Let's knock a couple hundred off this job and I'll give you the picks. Let's make a trade. Why not?
I don't know if I'd be disclosing that publicly.
Why?
But yeah, well, it's, don't worry about it. Sure.
What? Why?
I'm sure. No, you're fine.
People get paid for their picks all the time.
Yeah. No, hey, look, whatever your legal understandings are, those are yours.
Anyways, I feel like we should just kind of get to Mr. Kendrick here. I feel like we should just lead off with that, and then we can talk ball on the other side if you guys have the emotional capacity for it. If not, we understand. You can put the podcast down and come back tomorrow. You'd like. There's no Friday episode, so there's no one telling you when and how to consume your baseball is dead, but we are telling you that you're going to get Mr. Bob Kendrick right now. We are once again joined by one of our favorite guests, one of the listeners' favorite guests, one of our personal favorite guests, Mr. Bob Kendrick, the president of the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. And Mr. Kendrick, I would love to start right here because we got news the other day that they're going to be using the ABS system in Major League Baseball next year. What rule that exists today do you think would most benefit the Negro Leagues if you could take it from right now and drop it right in there?
You know, it would have been interesting to see the pitch clock. You know, a guy like Satchel didn't take much time at all. Satchel wanted the ball, give it here. I'm going to throw it back to you. And you're going to give it back to me because they weren't going to hit him. But some of the other guys were maybe a little bit more methodical. But you know what? I don't know if it's really changed a whole lot. Your infielders, well, your defensive squad, they want you to get that ball and throw it. Yeah, they don't really want you out there messing around. You know, back here in Kansas City where we had that AstroTurf, Dallas on the field there at Kauffman Stadium, and I talked to guys like Frank White, Willie Wilson, Big John Mayberry, who played first base for the Royals, big power hitting first baseman for the Royals. He did not like the methodical pitcher. And Jared, Big John was from Detroit. And Big John didn't take no stuff. and he'd go out there to the mound occasionally and say, hey, look, and it would be in a very colorful language. If you don't speed this up, because that turf at Kauffman Stadium might be 130 degrees out there. And so when Big John delivered the message, they got the message. So I think the pitch clock thing might have been really interesting to see if that had been part of the Negro Leagues experience.
So I wanted to ask you this question the last time you came on, but we have the Hank Aaron Award, and it's annually given out to the best hitter in the league. I was curious what you thought. What player from the Negro Leagues should have his legacy live on through an award given to a Major League Baseball player annually, and what should that award represent?
Well, you know, I know that there was some possibility that they may rename the MVP award. And I always thought that award should be named for Josh Gibson. For me, Josh Gibson and Oscar Charleston were likely the two greatest players to come out of the Negro Leagues, out of a league that was filled with great players. And if there is any such thing as a five-tool catcher, then that would be Josh Gibson. And if there was an award named for him, if it was one of the MVP awards, whether it's National or American League, whichever, I think it would be very fitting because Gibson was incredible. And of course, you guys know now that the stats of the Negro Leagues have been officially entered into the record books of Major League Baseball. Josh Gibson is number one in several major offensive categories. He's your lifetime batting average, career batting average leader at 372. Single season batting record in 1943 of 466. And fellas, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that ain't going to be broken.
No.
And what makes it even more remarkable as fans of the game, he was doing this as a catcher. And he wasn't a good catcher. He was a great catcher. Rifle arm, throwing guys out from the crouch back in that era, complete control of his pitching staff. As Buck would say, he called a great game, Dallas, and he was a good running catcher. He gonna steal you 20, 25 bases or more to go with that big bat of his. I tell people, if you want an understanding of who Josh Gibson resembled physically, think Bo Jackson as a catcher, and you got Josh Gibson, man. Yeah, no, so he's the guy that comes to immediately to mind. You can make a case for Oscar Charleston, whom the legendary Buck O'Neil believed was the greatest baseball player he had ever seen. He thought Willie Mays to be the greatest major leaguer. And most people concur, because as you guys know, Willie Mays, man, could beat you every way in which you could be beaten. He could beat you with his bat, with his arm, with his glove, with his legs. And of course, Willie's illustrious baseball career began in the Negro Leagues as a 17-year-old kid patrolling center field for the Birmingham Black Barons. But Buck believed that Oscar Charleston, who is from Indianapolis, Indiana, to be the greatest baseball player he ever saw. Charleston was an early era Negro Leaguer who could do everything. The consummate five-tool player. Hit for power, hit for average, could field, could run, could throw. In 1921, as then a member of the St. Louis Giants, Oscar Charleston had one of the greatest single seasons, not in Black baseball history, but in baseball history, when he led the Negro Leagues in home runs, triples, doubles, stolen bases, and batting average in the same season. Yeah, so he was tremendous. And so those two names immediately come to mind, and it would be very fitting as a way to continue to celebrate the legacy of the Negro Leagues to see a major award named for a former Negro Leagues player.
Mr. Kendrick, with all of the impact that players coming from the Negro Leagues have now had, having the opportunity to celebrate their accomplishments and their place in baseball history, not just in Black baseball history, but in baseball history, period. I want to ask you something. Outside of Jackie breaking the color barrier, what do you feel is maybe one of the more impactful moments in Negro League history and how it has led to impacting today's game, baseball as a whole? Because we understand we're not having this conversation if we don't have Jackie do what he did and what that meant for our game. But let's say that we, for some reason, were able to live in a world where human beings got it right the first time and Jackie was allowed to play. But what happened after that maybe something that was so hugely impactful that it needs to be acknowledged or should be spoken about or at least thought of in the same light as Jackie actually kicking that door down?
And it's really interesting, Dallas, because, we've been celebrating all year what we call leaders and innovators. And we have a brand new exhibit that we open in May. It'll run through March of next year. And it kind of celebrates a lesser known aspect of Black baseball history, and that's the brilliant managers that came out of the Negro Leagues. See, you had all these brilliant baseball minds, these risk-taking executives who really never got the opportunity to transition into Major League Baseball. There were no jobs for those managers. You think about the hierarchy of integration in our game. You mentioned Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier April 15, 1947. Buck O'Neil becomes your first Black coach in Major League Baseball history 15 years later in 1962 with the Chicago Cubs. This year, of course, marks the 50th anniversary of Frank Robinson becoming the first full-time African-American manager in 1975 with Cleveland, 28 years after Jackie breaks the color barrier. And Bill Lucas will become the major's first African-American general manager a year later in 1976 with the Atlanta Braves, 29 years after Jackie breaks the color barrier. So you can see that this transition from the Negro Leagues and the Major Leagues, when it came to the managing side, the executive side, was very slow. Very few opportunities have ever presented themselves, and you had a bevy of brilliant minds there in the Negro Leagues leading these ball clubs, these executives who were pioneers in this game, who did not get front office opportunities when the Negro Leagues folded. And that's why we wanted to highlight that aspect of baseball and Black baseball history, because we talk about the players, and the players had an immediate impact on our game. One of my favorite factoids as it relates to the impact at the Negro Leagues, the immediate impact that the Negro Leagues had on Major League Baseball, is that from 1949 through 1959, 9 of 11 National League MVPs were former Negro League stars. Now, we're not even talking rookies of the year. We're talking MVPs. And so that impact was felt immediately. But all these brilliant minds who could have very easily, Buck O'Neil could have very easily been the first black manager in the major leagues instead of being their first black coach. And the great George Altman, who played, he's still with us, God bless his soul. He's still with us, living in St. Louis, played for the Kansas City Monarchs, would go on into Major League Baseball. Buck would send him to the Chicago Cubs, where he became a great outfielder there for the Cubs, and then would have a wonderful Major League career, then would go over to Japan and extend his career, where he was one of the great power hitters of those who transitioned from the major leagues over to Japan. He still says to this day that Buck O'Neil was the greatest manager he ever played for. He had that understanding of when to put his arm around your shoulder and say the things that would comfort you. And he also knew when to kick you in the rump. And he was an astute baseball mind. He understood the game. And so it would have been interesting to see if he would have gotten an opportunity to manage. But if Buck was with us, he'd tell you had all these other brilliant minds who just never got the opportunity.
I feel like you've probably been asked this question before, but I haven't seen you respond to it anywhere. What would be your Negro Leagues Mount Rushmore? Ooh. And who would be the most difficult name that you would have to leave off?
Oh my goodness, man, that is a tough one. For me, I'd have to go Satchel, Josh Gibson. I think, surprisingly for some, because they're not familiar with this name, Norman Turkish Stern, the Gobbler. Great. Okay. One of baseball's great nicknames. The legendary Cool Papa Bell said that if Turkish Stearns wasn't in the Hall of Fame, no one should be in the Hall of Fame. Power hitter, 5'2" guy, but you don't hear him talked about as much as you do with some of the bigger names. And you got to put Cool Papa Bell on there. Now, it's arguable that there may have been some greater outfields, but what he brought to the table with the speed, the showmanship, he just was a game changer. He just destroyed the pitcher's mentality when he was out there. And so Cool Papa Bell, Josh Gibson, Satchel, and I do think Oscar Charleston.
So no Rube Foster.
Man, and that's the hard part. How
Mr.
you leave
Kendrick,
Rube
no Rube
off.
Foster.
Yeah, or how do you leave Martin DeHigo off? And that's another name that people really hadn't heard. He hailed from Cuba, and his nickname was El Maestro, the
First
master.
Ohtani.
He really was. And he played all 9 positions and played all 9 of them well. He is the only baseball player in the history of our sport to be enshrined into 5 different countries' baseball halls of fame. So he's in the Mexican, Cuban, Venezuela, Dominican, and in Cooperstown. And so, I mean, it hurts my heart to have to leave Martin DeHigo off, or to, it's such a difficult thing to do. And the guys from the early era of black baseball, they don't nearly get as much love as the more contemporary guys do. So a guy like John Donaldson, who is not a household name, I invented the slider. And to give you an indication, in the video game, I had Jordan Walker and Victor Scott when the Cardinals were in town, Dallas. They came by, and the first thing both of them asked me was, tell me about John Donaldson, because we can't hit him in the video game.
2 perfect games. 2 perfect games.
He invented what we now know to be the slider. And John Donaldson, there's a group called the Donaldson Network, and they've spent decades unearthing the stats of John Donaldson. And we're talking about a pitcher, left-handed pitcher, who has over 400 verifiable wins, over 5,000 strikeouts, and all these other mind-boggling, incredible feats. He was Satchel's inspiration. Now, when the great Satchel Paige models himself off of John Donaldson, that pretty much tells you how great John Donaldson was, because Donaldson was doing some of the things that, we know of Page have done. Call the outfield in, sit the infield down, those kinds of things. He was such a showman. And J.L. Wilkinson, who owned the Monarchs, had John Donaldson. He had John Donaldson as a hired hand. He would farm him out to go play with other teams, and they would pay a fee to both Donaldson and to Wilkie. And J.L. Wilkinson said that John Donaldson was the greatest pitcher he ever had. Now, J.L. Wilkinson, y'all, had Hall of Famers Satchel Paige, Hilton Smith, Jose Mendez, and he swears that Donaldson was better than all of them. Now, Donaldson made him a lot of money. That might have tainted.
That's why he was a big fan of him, Mr. Kendrick. I got to tell you, I don't know many people who often are in a position to share a story with you, but I had a moment in my life. It was a very wild moment. I found myself in Cuba, and we were frankly not allowed to be over in Cuba at the time. But I found my way over there, and I was with another baseball player at the time, All-Star World Series champion closer for the San Francisco Giants at the time, Brian Wilson. And obviously, you know about Cuba, the rich history of baseball there. And well, we found ourselves in a bit of a conundrum, and we're needing to speak to some locals to get some help. And we're identified as who we were, as baseball players. And the vibe very quickly went from, we can't help you, what are you even doing here, to, oh my goodness, you guys played baseball. Oh, we know who you are. We know. And they started talking to us. And that was the first time that I had ever heard the name Martin Diego. And it was explained to me who he was. And I'm just thinking to myself, like there's no way we don't know about a guy like this. Like, how did I grow up loving baseball the way I do, doing reports on Willie, on Hank, on Babe, on anybody that was a cool old baseball player, and I didn't hear about this guy, and this guy was doing what he was doing. So I think back now, and having been able to form the friendship with you and hear all the incredible stories and accounts and hear that name surface again, it's just that reminder, like, man, these guys have been waiting just under the surface to be revealed to the rest of the baseball world. So it's just, it always puts a smile on my face when you bring names up like that. Well, go ahead. Yes, sir.
No, I was just saying, I will never forget when the great Jose Contreras, the White Sox were in town the year after they won the World Series, and Kenny Williams had promised Buck that he was going to bring the entire baseball team over to visit the museum, and he delivered. And I'll never forget when Jose walked in and saw his fellow countryman, Martin Diego, proudly displayed in that life-size statue. Man, he just lit up. And I hadn't seen Jose in probably 20 years until I saw him last year. And we were standing there in the airport. We were headed over to Binghamton, New York, to play in Mudcat Grant's golf tournament. He immediately recognized me, came over, and was still talking about that tour they took. And again, just the pride in knowing that there was that bond between the Negro Leagues and Spanish-speaking countries from around the globe. And it warmed my heart to see him again. And we got a chance to reminisce about that visit that they had here in Kansas City.
Well, I gotta share this then with you, Mr. Kendrick, because this made me feel really good. Like I had led somebody to the light. It made me feel that way. I had the opportunity to befriend a couple of Astros fans earlier this year when we were in Houston, and they had just asked me, some things that I was checking off my baseball life list, and I had told them I was lucky enough to get to every stadium. And I started to explain to them the fun that I had at the Negro League Museum. And then I did explain, I said, hey, look, he's a sweet man. If you can, though, get in, lay in the weeds, wait till you hear that booming voice, and just start to follow, okay? Start to follow and just shut up and listen. And they said, so the Negro League Museum, that's where I said, please, 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 if you do anything, get there. And they got there this summer, and I just met up with them again last week. and the look on their face and the sound in their voice, the joy. I mean, it had been like they had been introduced and got to hang out with Santa Claus. And that's you, Mr. Kendrick. You're Santa Claus, and you are giving everybody presents. And then they said, Dallas, that we did not know the tie of Latin America, and we did not know how deeply rooted it went into the Negro leagues, and now being a part of the baseball or being part of major leagues, just the tie. So it was really cool to watch their faces just light up in explaining their experience. And they said, Dallas, we weren't the only ones who stopped and just started to follow. He said, everybody that's in that building just becomes an extension of whatever group he's walking around with. So as always, Mr. Kendrick, job well done, because those dudes could not have been happy.
I enjoy that so much. And, with World Baseball Classic coming next year, what a great time to kind of tout that connection between the Negro Leagues and those Spanish-speaking countries, as we'll see many of those countries coming over to play in the World Baseball Classic, which I think is one of the greatest ideas baseball has ever had. Yes, it's so important, y'all, that we in this country get to see baseball through the eyes of the other countries and how much they love the game, And so inside the museum, we have the Hall of Fame plaque that belonged to the legendary Willard Brown, another superstar player in the Negro Leagues who's not a household name. Willard Brown is in the National Baseball Hall of Fame. Great outfielder for the Kansas City Monarchs. Oh, but in Puerto Rico, he was as beloved as their native son, Roberto Clemente, particularly by the older Puerto Rican baseball fan, where in Puerto Rico, his nickname was Ese Hombre, that man.
That man.
Yeah, today they say him. Back then it was Ese Hombre, that man. And in Puerto Rico, Willard Brown won the Triple Crown twice. His Puerto Rican Winter League home run record of 27 in 60 games still stands to this day. Yeah, and so he made it up to the St. Louis Browns. Willard Brown and Hank Thompson would integrate the St. Louis Browns in 1947, which surprises people because there were 5 guys who go up in 1947. Of course, we remember Jackie, and then a few others remember Larry Doby, but Hank Thompson, Willard Brown, and Dan Bankhead all go into Major League Baseball in 1947. But you know how we are as a society. We always celebrate the first. We never remember the second. And here was Willard Brown and Hank Thompson. Hank Thompson actually holds the distinction of having integrated 2 Major League teams. He gets to the Browns just a few days before Willard Brown does, his Monarch teammate. And then Hank Thompson would also integrate the New York Giants. So he's there before Willie Mays and Monty Irvin joined the Giants. As a matter of fact, the 3 of them formed the Major's first all-black outfield. Well, Hank Thompson was an infielder by trade, which tells you how great a ball player Henry Thompson was. And so both get unceremoniously released by the Browns, because the Browns thought that Hank Thompson and Willard Brown would do for them what Jackie had done for Brooklyn in terms of that fan base coming over to watch them. But guys, the St. Louis Browns were a sideshow. Willard Brown knew that he had left a ball club in the Kansas City Monarchs that was way better than the St. Louis Browns. And if you were a St. Louis baseball fan at that time, you were a Cardinal fan. Nobody cared about the St. Louis Browns. And so both got unceremoniously released. And then Hank Thompson, they both would come back and rejoin the Monarchs. Hank Thompson would then go on and break the color barrier with the Giants. Willard Brown would spend the rest of his career playing for the Monarchs, going back to Puerto Rico and continuing to play great baseball. And so, yeah, but he's another name that was so celebrated there in Puerto Rico. Monty Irvin. And Monty Irvin, when he went to Puerto Rico, a young Roberto Clemente used to carry his uniform to the ballpark. Because you see, fellas, if you carried the player's uniform, they would let you in the ball game for free. And a young Roberto Clemente carried Monty Irvin's uniform to the ballpark. Roberto Clemente Jr. told me that Monty Irvin gave his father his first real baseball glove, and that Roberto Clemente idolized the great Monty Irvin. Yeah, that's who Roberto Clemente, that's the spark that lit it for him in baseball. And he wanted to be Monty Irvin. And I tell people, this only happens in baseball. This is the romantic nature of baseball, which is why it is just celebrated differently than all the other sports. When Roberto Clemente dies tragically in that plane accident, taking supplies to Nicaragua for that horrific earthquake, they waived the 5-year rule for him to go into the National Baseball Hall of Fame. Who does he go into the Hall of Fame with? Monty Irvin. Yeah. I mean, that's just baseball. That wouldn't happen in any other sport.
That's incredible.
But what it also tells me is this. Every hero has a hero. Roberto Clemente was a hero to so many. But his hero was Monty Irvin. Yeah, and so it's just another great example of that bond that was created by baseball, as we like to say.
Well, Mr. Kendrick, let me take this opportunity now then, because I think you know your place in this game. And if you don't, you have a lot of people who are lined up, my friend, to let you know just how important you are to our game. But let me ask you, maybe I have to remove Jackie from this question, but who's your hero? After the work that you have done, after the research that you have been a part of, after the stories that you have told and told again, and basically allowed other people to relive these moments through your storytelling and through your love of the game of baseball and its heroes, who many of us were never even informed of. Who is your hero? Who has moved your needle?
You know, I've got two. Henry Aaron is my all-time favorite baseball player and my childhood idol as a kid growing up in Crawfordville, Georgia. Crawfordville, Georgia, guys, is east of Atlanta, west of Augusta, all of 500 people. And every day on the playground, I had to be Henry Aaron. Now, I know some other kids sometimes wanted to be Henry Aaron, but nope. I had to be Henry Aaron. And in 1999, I get the opportunity to walk my childhood idol through the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. It was the first and only time I've ever been starstruck. And every time I was around him, I was reduced to that almost 12-year-old kid who, when he hit home run 715 in Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium, I'm at home in my mother's living room in Crawfordville, Georgia. And as he's circling the bases in Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium, I'm circling the bases right alongside him in my mother's living room. She had an old couch that was first base. The old TV was second base. She had another old couch that was third base, and her recliner was home plate. And so as my childhood idol was touching them all, I'm touching them all too. And here we are face to face. And Dallas, you know that picture where he's standing at the train station. He's 18 years old, skinny, frail, looks somewhat afraid, likely leaving home for the very first time to go chase that dream. He was on his way in 1952 to go join the Indianapolis Clowns. And of course, he comes to the Clowns as a skinny, cross-handed hitting shortstop.
Yeah.
So, yeah, exactly. For those who are hearing that term for the first time, in the case of Mr. Aaron, he was a right-handed hitter who was hitting with his left hand on top. That's unorthodox. The fear is that you break your wrist hitting in that manner.
And he was hammering
Aaron
the ball.
Was knocking the cover off the baseball in a highly unorthodox fashion. And so we get to that photograph, and he had seen that photograph, but it had been a long time. And of course, you recall there's a small duffel bag right by his foot. And he looks at me and says, Bob, I may have had a change 2 changes of clothes in that bag, $1.50 in my pocket, and a ham sandwich that my mama had made me, going to go chase that dream. It worked out pretty well for the hammer. And my other inspiration is a natural, the legendary Buck O'Neil. You know, I was so tremendously blessed to work with Buck O'Neil. They paid me to work with Buck O'Neil, something that I would have absolutely have done for nothing. You know, when I first met Buck, and I met Buck for the very first time in 1993, when I began volunteering with the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum. And I was no different than most who encounter Buck for the first time. It was love at first sight. The charisma, the energy, the passion. And when I met him, one of the first questions that I posed to him was, what motivated you to want to build a Negro Leagues Baseball Museum? And his answer was succinct, but oh so very poignant, so that we would be remembered. He did not want them to be forgotten, not for just what they gave the game of baseball, but even more so what they gave this country. And I had an opportunity to travel this country hanging out with Buck O'Neil. Of course, Buck rose to stardom, you know, had been a big star in the Negro League, but became an even bigger star after the Ken Burns documentary on the history of baseball. And where you had this very charming, gentle man telling these wonderful stories to baseball fans, fellas, that they had not heard before. And he was doing it with a twinkle in his eye and a smile that lit up the screen. And America fell in love with Buck. He was 82 years old at that time, and it jettisoned a whole new career. And so he started traveling the country, preaching the gospel of the Negro Leagues and the virtues of his museum to any and everyone who would listen. And I guess you could say that I was hanging from the hem of his garment. And now I get to preach the gospel and the virtues of Buck's Museum to any and everyone who will listen. And I think, Dallas, for me, every time I tell one of these stories, and many of these stories are stories that I heard firsthand, whether it was from Buck, Monty Irvin, Minnie Minoso, Ernie Banks, I feel like I am keeping them alive in my mind and in my heart. And whoever may subsequently come after my work is done here at this museum, man, I sure hope they don't let these stories die. Yeah. I don't want these stories to ever die. I hope they will continue to live on and hopefully inspire future generations of baseball fans. But Buck plays such a significant role in my life, both personally and professionally. Yeah, and so to have a small role in helping keep his museum alive, to keep the legacy of the Negro Leagues alive, means a great deal to me, as it does to our entire team here at the Negro Leagues Baseball Museum.
Well, you have not only kept those stories alive, you have, and you are responsible, frankly, for the birth of these stories for a lot of people who would have never otherwise have any idea of the impact and who these individuals are. So I think it goes without saying the work is very much appreciated, because we would not have the opportunity to learn about our game, to learn about your game, and back to our game that we get to share collectively now without the insight from you, Mr. Kendrick. So I always, and you know this, I always just like to take the time to thank you, because without your insight and without the opportunities that we have to get you to sit down and talk to us and share these stories, a lot of people continue to move through the world, the baseball world, fairly ignorantly, because they just do not have an appreciation. And I was one of those individuals a long time ago. And I love that I get the opportunity to sit down with you and get educated every time we talk.
No, it's an absolute honor to be a steward of this story and the important work that we have. And I think, fellas, the life lessons that stem from this story of triumph over adversity. You know, for us, it's a given that you're going to come to this museum and you're going to meet some of the greatest athletes to ever put on a baseball uniform. But by the time that our guests walk away from the experience, they walk away with, I think, a deeper, richer appreciation for the greatness of this country. This story could have only happened in America, anchored against the ugliness of American segregation, a horrible chapter in this country's history. But see, the story here is what emerged out of segregation. This wonderful story of triumph and conquest. And as I oftentimes say, it's all based on one small, simple principle. You won't let me play with you in the major leagues? Okay, I'll just create a league of my own. Man, that's the American way. And what is embedded in this story that I think is so important for this generation of young folks to hopefully understand and embrace. What the Negro Leagues teaches us is very simple. In this country, even though it has its challenges today, it is still the land of opportunity. And if you dare to dream and you believe in yourself, you can do or be anything you want to be. You see, they dared to dream of playing baseball. They had no idea they were making history, y'all. They didn't care about making history. They just wanted to play ball. But as I remind my guests, the pride, the passion, the perseverance, the determination, the courage that they demonstrated in the face of adversity, that's what makes this story so compelling and so awe-inspiring. And that is why I continually look for ways to connect the dots. We try and find ways that we can impart the spirit of the Negro Leagues with the way the game is being played today, with certain aspects of things that will hopefully enhance the quality of life for all of our citizens, which is part of the reason why we created what we now call the Hall of Game. And of course, each year we honor a group of former major leaguers who we believe played the game the way they played it in the Negro League. So you played it with passion, you played it with high skill, and you also played it with a little swag. Yeah. Y'all know you had to have that if you're going to play in the Negro Leagues. And with us focusing on the manager side of Black baseball history, how appropriate would it be that we would honor 4 very pioneering African-American managers when we have this next induction, the 2025 class of Hall of Game inductees. The celebration is planned for Saturday, October the 4th, and we will honor the great Dusty Baker, Cito Gaston, Jerry Manuel, and Willie Randolph, who will all be here in Kansas City, I guess celebrating the managerial legacy of the Negro Leagues. And I can't wait to have this group here. There are going to be some great stories told. I should say there are going to be some lies told. But
with Dusty up there with you, huh?
Yeah, and I can't wait to join in and start telling my lies too.
Oh, man, I would love to be a fly on the wall with that. My God.
You know, it's so special. I mean, Dusty's one of my favorite people in the entire world. But when your career, you think about this, Dusty carried Satchel Paige's fishing pole. So when Satchel joined the Braves in 1969, I believe it was, Dusty was a rookie at that time. And Dusty says he used to carry Satchel's fishing pole because everywhere Satchel went, he was going fishing. Satchel Paige not only thought he was the greatest pitcher in the world, he truly believed that he was the greatest hunter and fisherman in the world. And you know what? He likely was. And Dusty used to carry his fishing pole. And then you go to be on deck when Henry Aaron hits home run 715. You look at the on deck circle, there was Dusty Baker. And then you go on and have a fabulous baseball career. You win a world championship as a player. You go in and win a World Series as a manager. That's a heck of a career that touches in so many important aspects of this game. He's a linkage to so many important baseball figures and baseball stories. And so it's going to be great to have him here. Cito Gaston, I think, is one of the great guys of our sport. The man won back-to-back World Series. Yeah, he won back-to-back World Series with the Blue Jays. And of course, Joe Carter is going to be there with us next Saturday. I can hear that call now. when Joe hit that epic home run to win the World Series, help Cito win that other World Series. That's going to be a lot of fun. But Jerry Royster is coming in, and Amos Otis is coming back for this. And so it's going to be a grand old time here in Kansas City next Saturday as we have those 4 legendary managers inducted into our Hall of Fame.
I want to know, based on how today's game is played, what player would you pick up from the Negro Leagues in their prime and plop them in today's game with the utmost confidence that they would make it to Cooperstown with their skill set from back then as it applies to today's game?
Ooh, man, I think if you walked around our field of legends at the museum, you could tab all 10 of those guys, because the way they played would have transitioned into any era. These guys, Oscar Charleston, who we talked about earlier in the show, Buck O'Neil said he never saw a center fielder who could go back on a ball the way Charleston could. Uncanny instinct. He just seemed to know where that ball was coming down right off the crack of the bat. And so he played a very shallow center field. So you really couldn't bloop it over his head. And unless you hit it on a rope, you couldn't get it over his head. So you couldn't bloop it in front of him, and you couldn't get it over his head. And the old timers in the Negro League say, you remember the catch that Willie Mays makes in the World Series? Of course, everybody remembers that great running over the shoulder basket catch. It's called the catch. And as I tell people, the throw is actually better than the catch. But because of the magnitude of the moment, the World Series, he ran a country mile to make that great over-the-shoulder basket catch. That's what we all remember. The old timers in the Negro League said, had that been Oscar Charleston, he'd have been waiting for that ball to come down. But those kinds of players would have very easily transitioned into the game the way that the game is being played today. I dare say they would have dominated this game. I'm watching what the young catcher over there in Seattle is doing. At the time of this recording, 60 home runs. Man, that's Josh Gibson-like. But Josh Gibson's going to hit you 330, 340 to go with those kinds of numbers. He didn't strike out a lot. Buck O'Neil would say of Gibson that he had the eyes of Ted Williams and the power of Babe Ruth rolled into one dynamic package. Yeah, very short, compact swing. He was just so powerful. Because again, he swung a 40-ounce, 41-inch bat. But he was just so powerful.
How tall was he?
Quick to the ball. I'm sorry?
How tall was Josh Gibson? Like, what was his height, weight?
6'1", 220. Yeah, I mean, just absolutely ripped. Big, massive hands, big, powerful forearms, big, powerful thighs. Yeah, when you watch him swing that 40-ounce bat, he's not choking up. He's got it gripped down below the knob. Yeah, no, man. He was, just incredible. I give you a great indication of how this transition works. Ray Dandridge, Dallas, who is at third base on the Field of Legends here at the museum. Ray Dandridge made it up to the Minneapolis Millers, which were the New York Giants AAA team. He's old when he gets there. Ray Dandridge was named MVP of the Millers when he was 38 years old. As I tell my guests, there was no room in the major leagues for a 38-year-old anything, no less a 38-year-old black third baseman. So he never got that opportunity to fulfill that dream of playing in the major leagues. But the way they played, the athleticism that they brought to the game would have transitioned into this game easily. And then you give them the kind of training that we have, the nutrition and these kind of things that we have today. Oh, man.
Different animal. Let me ask you this. Who's a player that you've seen play in the last 25 years, 30 years or so, that you think you would like to see plucked from our era and transplanted back
Over
in
to
the
the Negro
Negro League era and let them have their fun, play the game the way they played with zero restrictions and being able to be themselves.
Ricky Henderson's first name that comes to mind.
Ricky.
Ricky would have been quintessential Negro League.
Oh man.
Yeah, that Ricky Henderson. And now if we were talking about today, Shohei.
Sure.
Shohei would fit right in beautifully in the Negro League. There's no question about that. There are a number of other players who would have fit that bill, but Ricky Henderson comes to mind because Ricky Henderson brought that level of swag with him to go with one of the greatest skill sets that we will ever see as a leadoff hitter.
Oh,
I don't know if we'll ever see a leadoff hitter the likes of Ricky Henderson again.
A treat. A true legend. True legend.
That's unbelievable.
Sorry,
Jayhay.
Yeah, sorry, I almost hesitate to ask a question because it's time spent with me talking instead of Mr. Kendrick. So just yesterday, I believe the building next door to the Negro League Museum was officially christened the Buck O'Neill Education and Research Center. Obviously, that's huge, if I'm understanding correctly. But I would be curious to hear you tell everybody about why that building, which used to be a YMCA in Kansas City, is significant and what went on with Rube Foster there in 1920.
Yeah, no, that's the birthplace of the Negro League. And a lot of times people will come in, they'll ask me, why is a Negro Leagues museum in Kansas City? Well, it is because Kansas City is the birthplace. The Negro Leagues were established in that very building, Justin, that you're referring to, the Purcell YMCA, February 13, 1920. Andrew Rube Foster led a group of 8 independent black baseball team owners into a meeting in that very building. And after that meeting, they had established the Negro National League, the first successful organized black baseball league. That building had been abandoned for years. It had not been occupied since maybe the early to mid 1970s. We took ownership of that building about a decade or so ago, maybe a little bit more than that, and we started to renovate it. And we're saving that historic landmark, and it is going to be called the Buck O'Neill Education and Research Center. But then we're going to build a brand new 35,000 square foot Negro Leagues Baseball Museum that is essentially going to be attached to the historic landmark where it all began, creating what I call the nation's first Negro Leagues campus as the gateway into historic 18th and Vine and an international headquarters for both black baseball and social history. So I guess you could say that we're going full circle right back to the very building that gave birth to the story we're now charged with preserving.
I love it.
Incredible. I am not surprised in the least. I become more and more grateful for your friendship and your presence in our game and in my life each and every time I see you, Mr. Kendrick. You were as gracious as you always are this year when our team came through the museum. And our crew still talk about it. They still talk about your energy and the stories and how vividly you paint the pictures. And so I will, again, take the time for the folks who are listening. If you have not, for whatever reason, made your way out to Kansas City to see Mr. Kendrick and to see the museum, please, you are not living your fullest life if you do not check that box. Mr. Kendrick, you are gracious with your time as you always have been. I just want to thank you again for hanging out with us and bestowing upon us the stories, the love, the passion for our game, and allowing us to continue to educate ourselves with insight from a league gone by, in days gone by, that are as ever present and important to our game today as they were when they were blazing the trail back then. So, Mr. Kendrick, thank you, sir. Thank you as always.
Man, it is always a pleasure to catch up with you guys, man. Thank y'all so much for the opportunity, the platform to talk about this history and share it with your audience, because these opportunities are so greatly appreciated.
Of course. And you said October 4th.
October 4th here in Kansas City at the Sheraton Crown Center Hotel. If you're somewhere near you, this is the place to be. Come and join us. It is going to be a historic celebration. There are going to be a lot of laughs and some good times when we bring Dusty Baker, Cito Gaston, Jerry Manuel, Willie Randolph together. It's going to be very special.
Well, I very well may be seeing Dusty today at a barbecue tonight after the ball game, so I'll be sure to get the story started a little early.
That's awesome.
All right, Mr. Kendrick, thank you, sir. It was great to see you as always.
All right, man. Thank you guys again for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, big thanks to Mr. Bob Kendrick for making the time. And again, if you want to put the podcast down and come back later, you're more than welcome to do that. I would completely understand. It's always a spiritual experience when he makes the time to come on and talk ball with us. But the items that we do have to get to are very important. Right after we talk about some Via. Oh, yeah. It's been a while since we've had the chance to talk about Via. What a product. Life moves fast, and sometimes you just need a way to relax, recharge, or stay focused without making things more complicated than they already are. You ever try meditating, but then you get stressed about how bad you are at meditating? Same. That's why I love Via, because they actually make feeling good easy. 500,000 customers can't be wrong. Via is changing the game in a natural wellness, combining high-quality hemp-derived ingredients with powerful cannabinoids to create real, effect-driven results. Not just fancy packaging and empty promises. If you want better sleep, maybe more focus, a little boost in the bedroom, or maybe you need to chill out because your stress levels are currently at screaming into the void status, whatever you need, Via has a solution for you. And here's the best part. Via lets you customize your experience, whether you're looking for daily wellness, laser focus, or deep relaxation. Via has it. With products ranging from 0 to high cannabinoid levels, they've got options for everyone. We're talking award-winning effect forward gummies to calming drops, all made with organic lab-tested hemp from trusted independent American farms. None of that mystery gas station nonsense. And you don't have to jump through hoops or get some weird doctor's note. Via legally ships nationwide discreetly because, let's be real, your nosy neighbors don't need to know your business, even though they know mine. No medical card required, just no sketchy parking lot meetups, just straight to your door with a worry-free guarantee. And if you're not sure where to start, no worries. Via has a product finder quiz that will hook you up with the perfect match in less than 60 seconds. Which, let's be honest, is less time than it takes to decide on what to watch on Netflix. So if you're 21 plus, treat yourself to 15% off and get a free gift with your order using our exclusive promo code. That is BID at viahemp.com. Plus, enjoy free shipping on orders over $100. That's ViaHemp, VIIAHEMP.com, promo code BID. Now to the ball talk. Man, do the Tigers suck. I feel like we're at the point now where even though they led for the entire season and were a first place team for pretty much the entire season, are we at the point now where it's like they don't even deserve to get in at this point? Do you feel that? Does anyone feel that way, that they don't deserve to be there?
At this point, yes, it feels like it has been a complete squandering. You were in a position, and as I say this, I think back to the downturn for the A's in May, and you're thinking, isn't there something that somebody can say to just stop this? Like, can't you just win today? Can you stop losing? And it seems super easy, right? Like, let's just fucking not do this anymore. Let's just be different than we've been for the last month. And for the Tigers, the answer to that question is we're trying everything. We have tried everything. And meaning Skubal has gone out and pitched well, and you haven't been able to capitalize on it. There's been other guys who have been able to go out and pitch well. You haven't been able to capitalize on it. The offense has gone missing at times. It has been a complete and total downturn of production on every front that has led to what will be a collapse. I mean, it's a collapse we're going to talk about for a long, long, long time. And it's because of where they were, how far they have fallen, and to have another team doing the exact opposite for essentially the same duration of time and having them come out on the other end, having capitalized in the Guardians, it makes it all the worse if you're the Tigers, because it feels like, I mean, I was I kind of went through, because I've been joking about the A's having their fingerprints all over this postseason, just joking about how teams were set up and stuff. Over there, when I went through Detroit, Cleveland, Boston, and Houston, and how things have gone for these teams since their last series against the Athletics. And we'll start with Detroit. The last series against the Athletics ended August 27th. The Tigers went 0-3 in that series. Coming into that series, they had a 10.5 game lead on Cleveland. They were 78-57 overall. They left that series with an 8.5 game lead, and they have gone 7-16 since then. So maybe the start of the downturn. For the Guardians, well, they saw the A's all the way back in July, middle of July. They went 2-1 in that series. They were 11.5 games behind Detroit at that time. They were 47-49 overall going into that series, so 2 games under 500. Now, that series could be looked at as a series that maybe got the Guardians rolling, got them right, because they have gone 38-22 since then. Dominant.
So you're taking credit on both ends of this.
Yeah.
What's that?
You're taking credit as being the cause for a downturn and a motivating upturn.
And propelling. Oh, absolutely, wow. Jayhay.
Wow, so the Athletics are versatile in what the services they can provide.
That's right. The utilitarian team when it comes to getting other teams to the postseason and maybe preventing teams as well. And how about the Red Sox, Jared? A very recent interaction. What happened? Very recent interaction. The Red Sox did lose that series 1-2. They were actually a half game up in ownership of the second wild card spot going into that series, and they fell to the third wild card spot after that series. But Jared, after you get that ass smacked at home, you kind of reminded, fuck, we got to get it going. We got to get it going. Thank you, Oakland, or thank you, Athletics, for slapping the shit out of us.
Aren't you the A's
they've
broadcaster?
Gone 4-1.
Shouldn't
they went
better?
4-1 during that time.
I get when other people make that mistake, but you
4-1 during that time. The Houston Astros. The Houston Astros, Jared, those same Houston Astros that are in town right now. Well,
there's people that are still really upset about that.
The last time we saw
just dropping in
it was
Oakland
the 22nd through the 24th of July.
Because
Astros,
you're the broadcaster. And you bring in that
0-3 during that series. They had a 5-game lead, a 5-game lead in the division over Seattle at that time.
Still
they were 59-42. They have gone 24-28 after that. And as they sit right now, they've already lost the series here in Sacktown and are getting ready to get swept. And we know that the Tigers, I believe, they've got the tiebreaker. So for the Astros, pretty much a done deal.
I do want to address something that you and Jenny were talking about on the broadcast last night. You guys basically were like, the Astros look like they've given up.
I said that they were lifeless. Yeah. I said that they were absolutely lifeless.
Yeah. Would you care to expound on that?
Oh, you could just see there was no, there was a play, there was a pop-up early in the game that nobody had any interest in catching. Nobody. Carlos Correa, all the way from over at third base, ends up being the closest player to the ball that was probably meant for the first baseman. Probably could have been gathered by the catcher. Instead, nobody makes a play. And those are little things that just cannot happen if you are in the game, if your head is in the game, if you're looking to make something happen. Those are things that just do not happen. And then from there was a foul ball, went up behind home plate, and I'm not going to call it an easy play, a play that absolutely should have been made, in my opinion, by the catcher. And he basically just shut it down en route to the ball. Just was like, you know what? I think that's a little too far. Nope, I'm good. And I just thought to myself, how can you be behaving this way? How can the effort level look the way it does? And and you think that you're going to October. It doesn't feel like you are understanding the situation in front of you right now. It does not feel that there's a sense of urgency whatsoever. And you could just see, I think back to the Manny interaction with Fernando early in his career in the dugout, right? Talking about selfish baseball and this is what we do. We don't do that right now. This is what and that's all propelled by a sense of urgency, an understanding of the moment. And I didn't see that happening. I didn't see those conversations happening, right? Like you can tell when guys are walking through the dugout past each other and are trying to motivate a guy, trying to light a fire. There's a certain level of energy there. Gone. And I said this too. I'm not telling you that the Framber Valdez situation with the catcher, I'm not telling you that did it or that was the straw that broke the camel's back. But in a moment in your season where you need to unify, where you need to be able to close ranks and just keep the prize in front of us, when you have something like that happen and it involves a guy who's supposed to have some sort of leadership status, and I even said this on air last night, I said, and whether or not that has been the case over the last few years or not is a completely different story, because I do not believe Framber Valdez is a leader in that room. I have reasons to believe that. But when something like that happens, there's a long, long road to get back to being a team that is unified and ready to push forward. Because it's almost like you have to put one of these massive issues right in front of us. Like, hey, we don't even have time to address this. We have to put that over there and just go try to win baseball games. And it's like, well, I don't know that we're ready to bleed for each other right now, because I definitely don't get that vibe.
Jayhay, do you think it's fair to say, I mean, obviously the Astros are cooked. The magic number is 1, like their season's done. But what would you point to be like, this was kind of the tipping point?
I mean, I do think anecdotally the Framber Valdez situation is interesting. I mean, obviously as a stats guy, I'm not going to like hard and fast point to that as the reason for their downturn, but their offense largely hasn't shown up down the stretch. They've been a bottom 10 offense over that stretch. I mean, I think, lost in the enthusiasm, in part shared here by the Carlos Correa acquisition, was kind of the reality that Carlos Correa wasn't good. And that doesn't mean can't be good in the future. And he was, in fact, better with the Astros than he was with the Twins. But I think on a lot of levels, his maybe his name acquisition outpaced what were reasonable expectations for his contribution down the stretch. And we were fine. Like, we kept acknowledging that the team didn't have Yordan Alvarez for the vast majority of the season, and credit to them for going, I believe, 84 and 74 to this point without him. But I think there came a point in this season, and this is backed up by statistics. One of which I'll throw out now is that they were 23rd over the last 30 days in slugging percentage. That they just didn't have enough oomph in the lineup. And that's shown itself here. I think it's shown itself, like, Dallas has described the lifelessness of the team in explicit terms. I think that can also be, kind of backed up by, kind of the lethargic play of the offense over this stretch as well. Like, just watching what they've done: 2 runs, 0 runs, 4 runs, 3 runs, 1 run, 0 runs. You needed Yordan, you needed more than they had. And, credit to Seattle for making them actually pay for that, because I think we've all been various levels of frustrated that this Mariners team, which I think we've all been consistent on, was at the very worst as talented as the Astros, if not more talented than the Astros, weren't seizing this moment, that they did seize it, and that they pushed this Astros team, kind of into the dustbin. Because I think my least favorite conversation, we're now subjective, but my least favorite conversation that we've had recently on the pod was when I had to pretend that the Astros, that we weren't giving them enough credit or whatever, like 2 weeks ago when they took control of the division. And it was just like, this is just a team. It's just a team. And I think them missing the postseason is going to be just fine.
Is this the first time that they're missing the postseason since 2015, 16?
Yeah, we're talking about a 8-year run.
Let me see.
Yeah, no, it's 16. You're
2016. Right. Wow. A decade.
8 years. Yeah, this could be 9 in a row. But it ain't.
Damn. Wow. I won't miss them. I will. I definitely won't miss them. I'm excited about the field this year.
Yeah.
And I think, the last decade, we've just kind of been like, well, we got to hold that Astros spot because they're going to be there. But I don't know, having some fresh blood, having the Mariners be the team that won the division. Like, hello, like instead of leading with the Astros here, I think we should be talking about the for the first time since 2001, the AL West division winning Seattle Mariners on the back of Cal Raleigh, who hit not 1 but 2 home runs last night to get to 60 bombs. I know Dallas had a whole rant about it on the A's broadcast last night, and we know how he feels about the MVP race. I don't know. I mean, I think. This has to be, even with the last time the Mariners made the playoffs, this has to be the scariest version that they've ever created since 2001. Like, this feels right. Like, even if the Astros had won if the Astros had won the division and the Mariners finished a game back and were a wild card team, I think I would still feel the same way. Like, this is the most the team that has the best chance of making a playoff run since 2001.
Yeah. And I almost pause a bit because I don't know that I want to get too far ahead of my. I mean, look, I picked the Mariners to win the whole fucking thing, as Cal Raleigh has said twice now.
He did say it again.
He did say it again. I also don't want to. I don't want to be so blind and ignorant to go into this thinking that if the Astros were at full strength for a larger portion of the season, that things maybe look different. And without some key contributors, things have looked different down the stretch. That has allowed the Mariners who are, to their credit, and every bit of the credit deserved to them, have played the quality of baseball that you need to play when your opponents are not executing and not doing what they need to do to create the gap for yourself, to close the gap and then start to create the gap. That's what they have done over this last month and a half. So I also don't want to get crazy and act like the Mariners have been a wire-to-wire team that are ready to just roll into October and dominate.
No, I don't want to get ahead of myself either. But to tackle Jared's, like, I agree with the general premise that this is the best equipped team that they've had to make a run to October since that team. And I think it's because while we've had great pitching teams in Seattle for a lot of that stretch, this is, by most measurements, the best combination of offense and pitching that we've had on the same team for the Mariners since that late 90s 00 era. Because, like, this has been, like, September, last 30 days, whatever you want to look at it, this has been the best offense in baseball. I mean, arguably, I would say inarguably, over that stretch. I know Dallas has made the case that, like, Dallas's comments about Cal Raleigh carrying the team motivated me to go check out and dig about how some of their other players are doing. And now that Cal Raleigh has 60 homers, I'm not going to sit here and tell you all about how all of the other players are doing. But I think if you were to look, there are a number of guys who are getting lots and lots of appearances for them that are really contributing at really high offensive levels over the last month, September. If you look at whether it's runs per game, this is the best that the Mariners have produced in a single season since 2007. Obviously, that's 18 years ago. If we're looking at OPS, it's something of a similar story. It's only 8 years ago in 2017, but we all know what the offense looked like, or I'm sorry, what the pitching looked like at that point. And then if you go by home runs, it's the fourth best single season in Mariners franchise history, behind only 97, 96, and 99. So yeah, I agree. I think anything could happen, but if this offense is anything like what it's shown over the last month, and you've got the pitching that we know has been hit or miss individually, but on the whole has been very successful this year, I do think they're as big of a threat to win the World Series in the AL as any other individual team now that they're in. Yeah. And that was the key, right? They had to get in.
They had to get in. They're in. They're AL West champs. And Cal Raleigh hitting 60, like, does that, I don't get it when some folks are on the fence and they're like 58, it's still Judge. But now that it's 60, I don't get it. Either you're a Cal Raleigh guy or you're not. Like I
love the individual. Love the individual. Absolutely love the individual who we're both talking about right now. And I saw what he tweeted last night and I just liked it and moved on because there's no defending the take. I'm not going to say that it's a terrible take, but it does. It just leaves you like, so 2 homers, but it just goes back to what we've talked about and what I highlighted when we started doing the award season stuff, that when we started taking MVPs and Cy Youngs away from people, the first thing I said was all we have to do when we're talking about awards in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, even the 90s, look at the round numbers. Look at the big eye-popping numbers. Homers, RBI marks, wins, strikeouts, shit like that. Super sexy stuff back in the day that wasn't getting ran through 15 different algorithms, 1,000, a million times. So I understand why some people might look at it and go, yeah, 58, man, it's a really good. Oh, shit, 60? No doubt. Leader in the clubhouse. Book it. MVP. What were we thinking? And it's because you hit this mark that has really meant nothing to us for a while now. It's just a round number. And you think to yourself, that's the mark. 60 plus pumps. You got to be really good. You got to be damn near MVP caliber to hit 60 homers. And then you start to realize, oh, there's other shit that this dude's bringing to the table here, not just 60 homers. But then you contextualize the 60 homer effort, and you're like, oh, did he set the single season record for switch hitters? Did he break a franchise record single season? Shit, sounds like this guy was pretty valuable to his team.
Can I put on my player hater hat for a second?
Please.
Please do.
You take it off?
I took my hat off and then put it back on.
Yeah.
Is there any caution to attaching too much importance to the home run statistic specifically, whether that's 60 as a round number or whatever the number ends up being, in a year where we are seeing so many homers hit and at the top end, so many big numbers achieved? Like, multiple people have been tracking it all year. Everybody knows about it at this point, but like 4 people with 50 homers ties the single season franchise record, or the single year record in MLB history. I mean, and the only other previous instances of this are in what's all acknowledged as the steroid era, where homers were going nuts. And even if you want to use a different level, you've got Suarez at 48, you've got Junior Caminero at 44, and Soto at 43, et cetera. Like, I'm not, because this applies to not just Raleigh, it would apply to Schwarber, Ohtani, and Judge on some level too, because they're hitting lots of homers. But is there any caution to being like, well, Cal Raleigh is a catcher who hit 60 homers or who led the league in homers in this current offensive environment, or no?
I think no. Like, is there? So what are you asking? Is there?
So I guess the more nuanced way is like, so Judge's offensive candidacy is more broad based in the sense that like his on base percentage is like 100 plus points higher or whatever it is, 90. I don't have it in front of me, but like Cal Raleigh's offensive, like the signature thing here is that he's hitting lots of home runs, right? And that this year we are seeing like multiple people make a run. Multiple people will end up making a run at almost 60 homers. Will have maybe 5 people get to 50 plus. I don't know. I'm just trying to like spitball here because it seems like it seems like there's an elevated home run environment happening here, and we need to acknowledge that on some level, right?
I can respect the acknowledgement of the power productivity league wide, and I think that is something that does need to be acknowledged. I don't know that it's quite enough. I don't feel strongly enough to then have to take the microscope and squint the eye and really dive into Cal Raleigh, because I ask this: why do we care that Cal Raleigh's a catcher? You know why we care? Because we all know how difficult that position is, and we all have an understanding and an appreciation on different levels to different extents of what that demand is like, and how you can only think, because we all know that position takes a back seat offensively to being the handler for the pitching staff. It has been that way forever, unless your name is like Mike Piazza, right? Or JT Realmuto or Will Smith. Like, you are 100%. I mean, Joe Mauer, we can start naming names, but the idea is you've got a job to do. And at no point are we prioritizing your offensive production when it comes to your job. We're prioritizing what you're doing behind the plate. So now that we all know, and we all live in a world where that responsibility is understood, we also understand how valuable it is to have anybody put together that kind of power productivity, let alone coming from that position. So now the inherent understanding of the difficulty and the demand and the responsibility of the position is something that people are factoring in and they are considering. And so for me, I take the power across the board in the league and I acknowledge it. I say, yes, this is something to consider, but it's nothing that I would ever allow to get in the way or take away from what Cal Raleigh has done. I mean, that's just me. And I think when we watch, when we're watching former players who have actually played the position try to do gymnastics and dance around how ridiculous it is, we're seeing what we're seeing from this position. That for me is just all the more proof, all the more like we can laugh at this, can't we? How he's trying to sort of take away from what's happening in that spot. Like, oh yeah, but it's not that big of a deal. Oh, okay. Okay, 60 homers from a catcher, switch hitting, not that big of a deal. You're right. We've seen it a ton. This is, how many times has this happened, Jayhay, in baseball?
A catcher hitting 60 homers? 0 times.
Yeah. I mean,
0.
Come on. What do we like? If it just feels like we put so much more effort into trying to prove shit wrong that is just so clearly right.
Yeah, although I do think there's something to like the nebula. We can move on because I know we're limited on time, but I think there's something nebulous about the catcher position that lends itself to difficult award conversations and like all-time placement conversations. And everybody knows that. Like, go back to the Joe Mauer MVP. That was not like, hey, Joe Mauer should be the MVP because he hit 370. Like in case closed, it was, well, he plays X number of games at first base, and it's like he only has, he's never hit more than this homers in his life. It's like whatever. We don't have catcher down pat in terms of value, and that opens up nebulous areas that you can kind of have conversations in.
I also, one of the worst takes that I saw last night was someone saying, like 60 home runs is cool, but it's like the modern day 45. And I'm like, what fucking era did you grow up in where, I mean, like when I grew up, you could have said that. Like, is Sammy Sosa just hitting 60 plus home runs every single year? It's like, it's basically like 45. But now, if you hit 60 home runs, that's every bit of 60 home runs. This is where, like, I'm going to start to get defensive of Cal Raleigh because, like, we had the steroid era, we've had cheating scandals, we've had juice balls, all that shit. But this year hasn't been a juiced ball year. There's no Seattle Mariners cheating scandal, and there's testing in baseball. I'm not I'm not naive enough to think that there aren't players who somehow beat the system with testing or somehow don't have ways to cheat or whatever. But as far as Cal Raleigh is concerned, that 60 home run season is every bit of that 60 home run season. Like, you should be as impressed as you should feel without having to feel like, am I getting duped here? No, like it is a 60 home run season and it's fucking awesome and it should be celebrated.
The 2019 league-wide home run rate was 3.6% for context. The 2020 home run rate, in case you want to think that one got weird, was 3.5%. This season is only 3.1%. So it's not to your point, just backing it up with data, it is not an outrageous outlier home run season league-wide.
Thank you. We did celebrate Schwarbs when he got to 50. Aaron Judge, a 2-homer game last night. He got to 50 last night. I mean, I feel like, we've had this conversation a million times about if everyone retired today, like who are the Hall of Famers? Like Judge has reached that status now. Yes.
Yeah.
He's in.
Yes.
No question.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 50, like I said, 50 is still fucking cool to me too.
I mean, especially now that he's got 10 years in the big leagues now that we can say it's like, it's official, like he would just be in the Hall of Fame. No stipulations needed.
Yeah.
I mean, the man has 4 50-homer seasons.
Yeah.
And they're 50-homer seasons that like coincide with like some of the greatest complementary offensive production that you could possibly conceive of.
Do you have a nug on that? Like how many guys have had 4 50-homer seasons?
Anybody want to take a guess?
6.
So like Hank Aaron never had one.
Never.
I want to say 4 50-homer seasons in the history of Major League Baseball. Only Aaron Judge became the 4th player to do that.
Okay.
Dallas?
Yes. That's
right.
It is right. 4th player with 4 or more 50-homer seasons.
Now ask me to name them. Sammy Sosa.
Sure. Yep.
Is Albert Bell one of them? No.
Mac?
Yep. Sosa and Mac both had them.
Is it Bonds?
And then Judge?
Bonds?
Nope.
I was going to say, like, Bonds didn't have...
He did not have a 50-homer season other than...
He just had 70,
yep.
Yeah.
Don't overthink it.
Jim Tomei?
No. You're going to say it doesn't count.
Oh, yeah, it doesn't. All right, so he's the 3rd. Congratulations.
Babe Ruth, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, and Aaron Judge, and Alex Rodriguez had 3 50.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Babe Ruth. All right, no, that does count.
No. I did say Babe Ruth. It's Babe Ruth, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, and Aaron Judge are the ones with 4. A-Rod has 3, and then no one else even has 3.
Yeah, so all right. Babe Ruth doesn't count. Yeah. Yeah, if it weren't for like forensic analysis being so far behind, he wouldn't have had the opportunity to hit 50 home runs in a season that many times.
This is the yeah, sure, whatever.
Killed his wife.
Whatever.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
This is the second time in Major League Baseball history that we've ever had concurrent stretches of players with 50 plus homers in consecutive seasons. Because Ohtani and Judge have now both done this in each of the last 2 years. The only other time that has happened was when Mark McGwire did so from 97 to 98, and Ken Griffey Jr. did so from 1997 to 1998. McGwire also did it in 96 and 99, but yeah. So kind of cool that we have 2 guys chugging along like that in a way that we've only seen once before, and and I think in a way that hopefully we'll be able to enjoy with a little bit more posterity than we are that other one.
Can I confess something? Totally missed that Shohei hit 50 home runs this year. I thought he was in like I thought he was like closing in on it. Didn't know that he was already at 53. He's got 53 homers.
Oh yeah, man. He zoomed right on by. Yeah.
Yeah, he do be doing that.
Yeah, what's he need? How many bags? 2 bags?
1.
Yeah, he's still sitting at 18 or 19. Sorry, 19.
I mean, we're gonna act like 50-20 is something.
No, but he'll become the first player to hit fucking 150 homers or whatever.
Yeah, Dallas, my nug, baby. There you go. Somebody 150 homers and 100 stolen bases over the 3-season span.
Never been done.
Never been done. The problem is that he still needs 2 stolen bases to do that. He needs 1 to get to 20 this year, but he needs 2 to achieve that over a 3-season span. And everybody's telling me that he's not going to do that to risk his body, which is probably smart, but disappointing.
Just a gentle reminder too that it's one of the Dodgers' better pitchers.
Yeah,
that's hit the 50+ homers. That's all.
I mean, in a very abbreviated season, but yes.
Oh God,
it is. He's made what? 6 starts, 7 starts. Just pitched 6 innings for the first time the other night, Tuesday night.
Oh, did I leave out the fact that he was coming back from Tommy John?
Did you black out for most of Ohtani's season? You forgot he hit 50 homers and he had.
I didn't forget.
Ohtani fatigue. Ohtani fatigue has reached Jared.
It's not Ohtani fatigue because I'm still
you checked out.
I'm still like in awe and impressed by it, but like I think mentally as a defense mechanism, I had to accept that we're never going to see 32 starts, 50 like we're never going to see the complete package again. So I'm just happy with what I get. Dallas, you have to go, right?
Yeah.
The A's are playing the Astros. I don't think I want you to win. I don't want to like go into tonight's game against the Jays having already clinched.
Okay.
All right. So let the boys know to chill out today, please.
No, I think they've got a different game plan today. Yeah. They'd love nothing more than to just drive the stake all the way through and pull it out the other side.
All right. Well, that's nice. You can tell them not to do that for me. That'd be great.
Leave the corpse quivering.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you.
Wait, are we not doing Feud?
Did we prepare Feud?
Yeah, we have Feud.
All right, then Dallas has to leave. Let's Jayhay put our heads together, and while Dallas is gone, we will find someone to step in for Feud.
I was planning on doing it. That's why I was saying, let's go.
Oh, all right.
Do you have time to do it?
Yeah, if I can be out of here by 10, absolutely.
Welcome back to Baseball is Dead Family Feud. I'm your man, Justin Havens. Did I prepare Feud? You're fucking right. I prepared Feud. It's the last thing I did before head hit the pillow last night. All right. So this is Jared back in the saddle, right?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
All right. So Dallas goes first. Jared goes second because Passan went first and Dallas went second last time. So pop that top rocket.
No.
Let's take a look at the answers here. Oh, yeah, this is a good spread. This is a real good spread. Are you ready, buddy? I'm not going to waste your time. You got things to do. You've played Family Feud. Let's do this. Question number 1 out of 100 BID fans. Name the NL team not in the postseason in 2025 that will win the most games in 2026.
The Mets. No, the D-backs. We don't know who's in.
I'll take the D-backs. I'm taking the D-backs. Question 2. What is the best kind of pie excluding pizza?
Fuck. Oh my God. Apple?
Thank you. You definitely answered one that made the list. I'll tell you that. Question 3. When it's all said, that's a safe way to play. When it's all said and done, Paul Skeens will be remembered as A, better than none of Kershaw, Verlander, or Scherzer. B, better than one of them. Doesn't matter which. C, better than 2 of them. Or D, better than all 3.
Better than 1. God damn.
Last feud of the season, man. Got to make you work for it. Question 4, or regular season. Question 4. War games. This is a little different. Hold on. It's a little different, though. Order these players from fewest to most career B-WAR. It's 4 players, okay?
All right.
Bryce Harper, Nolan Arenado, Manny Machado, Evan Longoria. Fewest to most.
Evan, Nolan, Manny, and then the last guy.
Okay, hold on. This doesn't count against your time. I'm writing it down. Evan,
Nolan, Manny, Harper.
Manny, Harper. Thank you. Okay. And last question. Question 5, excluding the Red Sox, who is your pick right now to win the 2025 World Series?
Excluding the Dodgers.
Okay. Good job. Thank you. We got 8. Let's see how many you got for that one.
I just threw the Dodgers. I said, I don't know. See, I'm playing the discourse.
Okay. Jared, hello.
Hello.
Dallas, this was a fun one, right?
Yeah.
Didn't go too crazy. All right. So
how did he do?
Dallas did well. Dallas did well. He did. He got 127 points. So you need 73 points to bring home the win with the last regular season feud of the 2025 campaign.
Let's go, motherfucker.
There's ready. Nothing to say that we can't play some in-season feud next week during the streams, though.
That's true.
And we probably should.
I agree.
All right. Jared, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Question number 1. As always, it's out of 100 BID fans. Very classy Discord participants. Name the NL team not in the postseason in 2025, as the picture currently stands right now, that will win the most games in 2026.
The Mets. The D-backs.
I'm not taking the Mets because they're currently in the postseason picture. And I'm giving, since the question is worded the way that it is. Thank you. And Dallas answered the D-backs. That's why you got the double one. Question 2. What is, both of you guys tried the Mets twice. What is the best kind of pie excluding pizza?
Pumpkin.
No, fuck.
I've never had pie.
Fucking asshole.
I've never had pie.
Shut your fucking
I've never had pie.
We don't really time this anymore, so I'm just going to sit here and marinate on the fact that you've never had pie. Question 3. When it's all said and done, Paul Skeens will be remembered as, listen along, A, better than none of Kershaw, Verlander, or Scherzer. Doesn't matter which. B, better than one of them. C, better than 2 of them. Or D, better than all 3.
Better than one of them. Better than none of them.
Question 4. A version of War Games here. Order these players from fewest to most. Career WAR. This is using B WAR. Fewest to most. It's 4 players. Bryce Harper, Nolan Arenado, Manny Machado, Evan Longoria. Fewest to most. Yep.
Harper. No. Longoria. Who is the other one? Machado, Harper, and who?
Arenado, Machado, Harper.
Longoria.
Mm-hmm.
Machado. Arenado, Harper.
Okay. And last question. Excluding the Red Sox, who is your pick right now to win the 2025 World Series?
The Seattle Mariners.
Thank you.
See, we played that well because I went a different route.
So you said Longo, Machado. I just got to figure out what the
Hey, I just looked it up, and you're going to be surprised who starts the bottom of that list.
Yes, you are. That's why it's a fun question. Here we go. Number 1, and also doesn't even matter what the right answer is. It just matters what the Discord said. That's the other wrinkle.
Fucking.
Yeah, not trying to necessarily guess the right one. Question 1, name the NL team not in the postseason in 2025 that will win the most games in 2026. You both tried the Mets. They're both in the postseason picture right now. Credit to you guys. Given that that's not a really, truly fair, wrong answer, we accepted backup answers from you guys. Dallas tried the D-backs, as Jared also tried the D-backs. That was the number 2 answer, 22 points. So Dallas got 22 there. Jared came through with the Giants. That was the 4th most common answer, 15 points. So with Dallas's 127, you guys gained 15, so we're up to 142. Perfectly fine. For reference, the number 1 overall answer was the Braves with 30.
Fair.
The Reds had 17. Those were the 4 teams in double digits. Question 2. What is the best kind of pie, excluding pizza? Dallas,
pumpkin.
after some hemming and hawing, said apple, the number 1 overall answer. 41.
Let's go.
Jared. Yes, Jared. Never had pie. Pumpkin. The number 2 answer. 23. Oh, can you
fuck
believe
you,
it?
Dallas.
We're up to 165. Those
That was the
seasonal
answer that he
bias.
was most disappointed in me giving.
I know.
Seasonal bias.
Those were the only 2 in double digits, and they accounted for 64 of the 100 total votes. Nothing
All
else would
these
have even moved the needle.
Never had
the
it.
Paul
Basic
Skeens.
discourse bitches.
I was
Paul
gonna go.
Skeens
I was
que-
gonna say lemon meringue. Just fucking.
I was going to go key lime, but I knew I was not going to get
that's-
any love there.
That's like the peckerwood tree would have been
Yeah.
key lime. Yeah, you got key lime would have been 2 points. When it's all said and done, Paul Skeens will be remembered as Dallas said better than one of them. I'd like to know which. Probably Scherzer, I guess. 34. That was the number 1 overall answer. Jared went the polar opposite. Good way to back up getting the same answer, although it was the worst answer. Better than none of them. Sorry, got 18 points. It was the 3rd most common answer. So you did get 18. You're up to 183 with 2 questions left. This is great.
Really awesome.
War games. This was fun. I'm going to do more of these. I like this, even if you guys didn't. Dallas said Longoria, Arenado, Machado, Harper. That was the 2nd most common answer out of, let's call it 25 possible combinations that were listed here. That was 12 points, so credit there. Jared came up with Longoria, Machado, Arenado, Harper. That was the 4th most common answer, still yielded 8 points. So we're up to 191 points with the last question of the regular season hanging in the balance. Dallas, do you want to tell us what the actual order is just for fun if you still have it hanging?
It goes Harper, Longo, Nolan, then fucking
Machado.
Manny.
Yep.
I was shocked, Jared. Shocked.
Yeah,
But
that's.
I mean, we're talking about 2 wins separating
Yeah.
the fucking 3 guys at the bottom.
Oh, really?
Harper will pass
Yeah.
Longo in no time, but he still has to do it.
Yeah.
Excluding the Red Sox, who is your pick right now to win the 2025 World Series? Dallas said the Mariners. Sorry, Dallas said the Dodgers. That was 18 points. That was the 3rd most common answer. Jared said the Mariners. He needs 9 points.
Oh, fuck.
Let's just go fucking do it, Cal Raleigh
Let's
said.
go!
Let's go win the World Series and let's win Family
fucking win it
Feud.
all.
We
Let's
did
go
it.
fucking win it all, Cal.
Oh, the Mariners and Cal Raleigh come through with the win on the last Family Feud. Jared and Dallas do it. What a way to end
How many
the
points?
25 regular season. That was
right.
22 points. The 2nd most common answer.
Thank you.
The most common answer was the Phillies for 30.
Thank you.
But you guys cleaned up with 40 points on that question total.
Thank you.
Yep, bringing your total to
Thank you.
213 points.
I'll sign your ball. Yeah, absolutely. There you go. How about it? Thank you.
What a way to end it.
It's been great. It's been a
Nothing
good
better
run.
than Family Feud.
Yeah, we should.
Great run.
We should have someone compile our record on the
Yep.
year.
Yeah, and
Somebody
I'll say
can do
this:
that.
Somebody.
I met a discourse couple last night.
Oh,
A discourse couple,
okay.
and I took it up with her. I said, "Hey, come here, little lady. I got a fucking problem with you. You want to know why? Because you have been allowing this to happen, and at no point was there any argument to it, Jared. No. I was completely bitch slapped by the discourse here because she said, no, I understand. I just watched him get happier and happier every time he started fucking with you guys. So now he absolutely just does it to fuck with you."
Yeah.
And I looked at him and he went like this. He watched her say it and then looked at me and went, "That's right." I was like, right now, if there were children here right now, I'd fuck you up. And I'm talking to you, lady. Yeah, I'm talking to you. But I was like, "You fucking serious?" She's like, "Look, I like it. It puts a smile on his face." And I was like, "You fucking sicko." You know what? I appreciate that. I have to go because I'm very angry at both of you right now, but I can appreciate it. So
That's awesome.
the first couple of discourse, if you're out there, if you're listening, it was great to meet you last night. Find a different hobby, you assholes. Find something else to do.
No,
Yeah.
this is the best way they could be spending their time.
Yeah.
Fueling my enjoyment on Family Feud.
That's right.
Yeah.
Thank you, Justin Havens, for a full season of service hosting Family Feud.
Yes.
Oh, my pleasure. Man.
Yeah.
I love
I think it does bear acknowledging. On a serious note, truly appreciate everybody chiming in, throwing their answers in, even if it's to try to fuck with my mental health.
Mental health.
I respect it.
Isn't Corey also involved in this?
Yeah. Yep.
Corey and Jake?
Corey and Jake. Me, Corey and Jake, and then the Discord. That's the group.
Dallas calling for a timeout here.
What's up, dude?
We've been getting fucking boned by these dudes too the whole year.
What do you mean two? What do you mean? You knew
As
Jake
well?
was involved. You knew Jake was involved.
Are they fucking putting together questions, answers? Like, I know we're getting fucked on the point system here.
No. But you want to know everybody's role? Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
So I come up with the questions. That I have solicited input from other people, but that's what I do, and that's my responsibility. And
so
then
you're fucking brothers.
Corey,
you and your fucking brothers. All right.
Corey and
yeah, don't
Jake
chuckle.
run the back end.
I heard the chuckle, you son of a bitch.
And the data collection, and the program that pulls the info from Discord, and the Discord provide the answers. Those are the roles being filled here. So Corey, I've asked Corey and Jake's opinions on questions before, but Corey is not playing an active role in fucking you over. Unless you think he's manipulating the data on the back end, which he could be doing, and I can't say for sure.
That's true.
So you can neither confirm nor deny.
Well, if he's manipulating the data, he's doing so in a way that's extremely entertaining for listeners and the folks watching. So, if there's any data manipulation, and I know nothing about any sort of such thing, it's only to enhance everybody's entertainment. Yep.
Oh, and I know nothing about that.
Yep.
I don't have any answers when it comes to the data manipulation. Not me. Fuck. I'm fucking out of here. Kiss my ass, Discourse.
See you next week, dickhead.
Bye.
See ya. Bye, Jared.
See ya. That's Dallas Braden.
Yep, the one and only.
Yeah, there's only one of him.
Headphones on though. Oh, nope, now he's
Yep. He's still there. Yep.
No, he's still there.
Yep. Still
Can't get
there.
connected when he wants to. Can't disconnect when he wants to.
There he goes. Still there.
Sort of.
There he is. Jayhay, do you have any award-winning nugs today?
What a wild ride. Yeah, I do. All right. Just as a reminder, real straightforward nug. Detroit, they lost their 8th straight game. Cleveland is 17-2 in their last 19. Tanner Bybee, in that game, lowered his ERA against the Tigers this season to 0.95 across 3 starts. So good work for him. Garrett Crochet, he is now the 4th left-handed pitcher in AL history to produce a season with at least 200 innings pitched and a 30% strikeout rate, joining Randy Johnson twice in the mid-90s, Johan in 2004, and Chris Sale in 2015 and 17. Crochet also becomes the 4th Red Sox lefty with 3 starts of 8 or more scoreless in a single season in the wild card era, joining Lester in 2008, Price in 16, and Sale in 17. Luis Castillo, he dropped quite a start last night, 1.07 ERA over his last 4 starts, and he's the 3rd Mariners pitcher in franchise history to have a start of at least 7 innings pitched with no more than 1 hit, 0 walks, and 10 or more strikeouts, along with Logan Gilbert in August of 23 and King Felix in August of 2012. Hunter Brown, I was going to give Dallas credit for this, but then he lost. But since I typed it out, I'll say it anyway. Hunter Brown, they hung 4 earned on him last night. That's snapped a streak of 10 straight starts, allowing 2 earned runs or fewer for Hunter Brown. Couple of Homer-related notes from last night. The 3 or more players with 50-plus homers, seasons with multiple players with 50 or more homers, we're now up to 4 this season. Judge, Ohtani, Schwarber, and Raleigh. Bonds in 2001 was Bonds, Luis Gonzalez. Alex Rodriguez and Sammy Sosa was 0-1. And then 1998 was Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, Griffey, and Greg Vaughn. Shout out to Sarah Langs, who had this fun nugget: most homers in a season while playing for multiple teams within that season. Eugenio Suarez, the reason for the nug, he's up to 48. That's the second most in a split season like that, behind only 1997 Mark McGwire with 58. JD Martinez in 2017, who I believe we talked about. What was that on
Last
Just the Nuts
episode.
that we talked about? Or
Oh, no, it was Just the Nuts. Yeah.
Yeah. I had 45 in 2017. Blake Snell's last 3 starts, 19 innings pitched, 9 hits, 1 run, 5 walks, and 28 Ks, paying off that note from yesterday. Jesus Luzardo had another unbelievably dominant start. It was his 4th start this season, featuring 10 or more strikeouts and 0 walks. That ties Cliff Lee in 2013 for the most such starts by a Phillies lefty in franchise history. And his 7 starts of 10 or more strikeouts just by themselves is the 6th most by a Phillies lefty in franchise history, behind 5 seasons from Steve Carlton and 4 seasons from Steve Carlton and 1 season by Cliff Lee. And very quietly, Edmundo Sosa had a 3-homer game for the Phillies at shortstop last night. He's the first shortstop to have a 3-homer game league-wide since Bo Bichette on September 5th, 2022. And he's the first shortstop in Phillies history to have a 3-homer game. And lastly, Paul Skeens. He lowered his ERA on the season last night with a 6-inning scoreless outing against the Reds to 1.97, and he becomes the 5th pitcher in the live ball era to post consecutive seasons with a sub-2 ERA in at least 23 starts in each of those seasons, joining Kershaw in 13 and 14, Maddox in 94 and 95, Koufax in 63 and 64, and Hal Newhouser in 1945 and 46. And those are the Nugs.
Thank you, Justin Havens.
Yep, thank you.
As you were doing the Nugs, I just completed my pick'em for the day.
Great. What do we got?
I'm going with the Cal Sal combo deal, topped off with a little Ben Rice. Mm-hmm. Yeah, how do you feel about that?
So Salvador Perez, Cal Raleigh, Ben Rice.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's
Cal against
like
a righty, Sal against a lefty, Ben Rice against a righty.
I'm putting it in right now.
Yeah, I like that. That's another win. That's another win, I fear. I would love to see the statistic of what percentage of my pick'ems either won or missed by 1 total base. I bet you it's like north of 80% for the whole season.
Good for the people, bad for underdog, but good for underdog.
Yeah.
But good for the people.
Yeah. It's good for the people.
So that's 2 data things we've got the folks getting on, right?
Yeah. We have a data team. His name's
Family
Garrett.
Feud and Family Feud and Jared's Pick'em data.
Yep. Really quickly, we mentioned it during Family Feud, the name Paul Skeens, but his 2025 season is done after his outing last night against the Cincinnati Reds, in which I think Dallas kind of called it to a T. He's like, isn't there a world where he just dominates and the Reds win anyway? Paul Skeens finishes the season with a sub-2. It's a 1.97 ERA, 7.6 WAR, 187 2/3 innings, leading the league in strikeouts with 216. He made all 32 starts. ERA plus leads the league 2.18. FIP leads the league 2.37. WHIP leads the league 9.48. Homers per 9 leads the league 0.5. Strikeouts per 9 10.4. Walks per 9 just 2, which he lowered from last year. Hits per 9 pretty much exactly what it was last year. So, and like last year in 23 starts. In 23 starts in his rookie season, he had a 1.96 ERA. In 32 starts This year, a 1.97 ERA. So he has made 55 big league starts with a 1.96. That is outrageous. 320 and 2/3 big league innings for Paul Skeens, and he's punched out 386 batters. That's a 10.8 strikeouts per 9. So
tough to see that sort of year-to-year regression, though, right? 1.96 to 1.97.
It's true. It is true. He is trending in the wrong direction.
Yeah. In 2 decades, his ERA might hit 2.20 as things are currently trending.
Yeah, that's true. I hate to see a guy go downhill like that, especially at the ripe old age of 23.
That's all right. He had a good run.
He did. He did.
And we've memorialized it right here.
Sure. Yeah, rest in peace to Paul Skeens' dominance. We'll always have 2024.
Next year, look for that ERA to sit at a crusty old 1.98.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Do you have any final thoughts, Jayhay?
Happy birthday to my youngest brother, Dylan.
Happy birthday, Dylan.
Turns 34 today. So he's a big birthday guy. So just had a I don't know. He likes everybody to acknowledge his birthday.
Got it.
Not necessarily requiring it of us on the pod. This is just me doing it.
Got it.
You know, he's the guy in the family that,
big birthday guy.
Yeah, it's Dill's birthday. So
yeah, I thought you meant like he's the type of guy that makes everyone else's birthdays special. Like he likes making birthdays special in general, but it's just his birthday.
He's a warm, loving person in general.
Sure,
yes,
sure,
it's
sure,
more
sure,
about
sure.
his birthday. Yes,
yes.
And
today is about Dylan.
Yep, and just had his son very recently as well. So very first birthday with his son Carter. So probably one he'll remember. So happy birthday to Dill. Hope he has a great weekend. And I'm very excited. My secondary final thought is that I'm very excited for next week. To do the postseason streams and to be in person with everybody, and just for postseason baseball in general, because I'm so fucking ready for it.
Yeah, it's gonna be very special. That live show, if everyone is gonna be there, whew, you got Jayhay in the house, you got Dallas in the house, Hosmer maybe. I know he's about to have another baby number 3.
I don't know whether I should put this out there, but Hosmer gave me the old confirm last night on being there for Tuesday. So it sounds like he's locked in. I'm in for all 3 days of wildcard streaming next week. And as best I know, DB is arranging his travel independently. I know that's a big step for him, but he's going to do it. And we should say, sounds like what you're describing. Everybody will be there.
Damn. So that means I got to put all this shit back up on the wall now too. All right. I got some work to do this weekend. That's what I'll be up to after. I'm going to be at Fenway all 3 days. So maybe I'll have to do that tonight. Shit.
Nice. Well, glad to put some work on your plate. I know you don't have enough.
No, I truly don't. All right. We'll be back on Monday, which will be the regular season finale pod, postseason preview pod. What a special day that's going to be.
Hell yeah.
Very excited for that. Stay tuned. Yesterday, Eric Hosmer on the podcast. Go back, listen to that if you missed that. And then today, very much a big thank you to Mr. Bob Kendrick for making the time for coming on the show. The postseason is just around the corner. Next week, all the action. Can't wait. We'll see you then.
We go.